Dwane, any update on Damari?
A left-hand contusion. X-rays were negative, so it'd be, see how he is come next game.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Coach, in the first quarter, you got some points on turnovers. Let's get some points, some easy looks for Lowry and DeRozan off some staggered screens. How big were those transition points and those easy looks for Lowry and DeRozan getting them going?
Well, I thought that was a difference to start the game. That's a very prideful team. We were able to get out and get some easy points in transition off our defense. I thought that was a difference to start the game, kind of set the tone for us a little bit. And we had to get, that was easy. And I thought it helped Kyle's rhythm. It helped DeMar's rhythm to get out in transition like that and get some easy buckets. Because this is a very good defensive team. They're a very physical team. They're, prideful team. You're not going to get anything easy in their half-court play the way they're playing.
Joseph on the left.
Coach, the easy analysis is that DeMar just made a lot of the shots that he's been missing earlier in the series. But is there something that you saw as a coach, whether it was the way he was coming off screens, anything that you saw differently other than making shots?
No, he just was persistent in coming off trying to get his shot. He was using his athletic ability, speed and quickness. He wasn't hesitating. He was very decisive, and that's the way he has to play. I thought Bismack set some good, solid screens for him. Kyle was setting some good screens. Multiple people were setting solid screens for him, but again, it was up to him to come off and be decisive and make the shots. I thought that was big for him. But again, I thought the way we started the game, we're getting out and running off of our defense, getting some transition buckets, some sweat buckets, allowed him to get loose and get in rhythm and feel comfortable with his hand.
Arden on the left.
Dwane, Bismack's stats don't really jump off the page, but what were some of the important things that he did for your team tonight?
I thought it was solid just from a rebounding, physicality standpoint, setting solid screens, kind of set the tone that way. I thought it was important for him to be able to get some of those rebounds. He kept some of them alive by tapping them out. And he and Patrick did an excellent job in the paint. Because, again, I'm telling you, Joe Johnson's a handful. When Dwayne Wade gets it going, he's a handful. I thought Biz's presence at the pick and roll was huge for us. And that was very important.
Ryan?
Just following that up, it was kind of like you haven't seen that from him in the other games. What was the difference tonight? And does what he does, is that contagious for the rest of the game?
Hopefully. That's what you're imploring everybody to do, is to do what you do. Whether it's DeMar coming off being decisive, Kalo coming off being decisive, Biz having a presence defensively, Patrick doing what he does. I think that's so important, is be decisive. Don't overthink things. Don't let the noise slow you down. And, but again, Miami's a very good defensive team. They're active. When they switch, they can guard multiple positions with their size and strength. But I thought our guys handled it pretty well by being decisive. But again, I think it started with our defensive activity to start the game.
Mike in the back right.
Dwane, you always talk about ride or die with Kyle and DeMar right here.
Okay.
After they scored 19 in Game 4, how would you describe, the end run with Kyle hitting the big 3 and the 2, and then, DeMar hitting all those free throws?
They're our guys. I mean, we can disparage them all we want to, and talk about how bad their shooting is, but again, you don't forget how to score the basketball. It's going to come back. You hope it's within the series, but it's going to come back, and we have faith in those guys. They've carried us the entire season. And not one time did we doubt their ability to score the basketball, and did their teammates. And it was a matter of time they get it back. And again, now they got to ramp it up again for our next game.
Josh on the left side.
Coach, you talked a lot before the game about movement, not just in terms of ball movement, but of course moving without the ball. How would you assess what you saw from your guys tonight in that respect?
Movement, Josh, is one thing, but spacing movement to get to your spacing is just as important. Not just standing, spectating. I think that was something we did a better job with tonight. When the ball moved, we moved to get our spacing, to give the ball more space to come off pick and rolls, and I thought that's very important because they do a great job of really packing the paint, protecting the paint. And if you stand, you help them. It's basically like a zone. And you've got the way you beat a zone is body movement, ball movement from side to side. And I thought we did a better job tonight in doing that.
Michael?
DeMar's been struggling shooting free throws with his thumb. He's admitted that, and so he leaves with his thumb, comes back. Did you have any conversation with him about, was he ready to come back? And
I asked him, was he ready? He said he was. You know, Alex McKechnie was doing some kind of magic with him on the sideline with some type of tape, special tape. He was, you know, doing it as massaging and everything. So I guess it worked because he was, 11 for 11 from the free throw line. So we have a great medical staff, guys that do a great job and got him ready to come back. And I didn't know if we were going to get him back or not. I didn't think we were going to get him back. And luckily he fought through it, came back, and knocked down some big free throws in the end.
I think he was 8 of 8 down the stretch.
Yeah.
What does that say about him?
Well, it's, you know, that he played through the pain and, you know, kind of get it out of his mind, you know, if it's not keeping him from shooting the ball. But again, it's a tough thing because everybody who's played basketball has had a jam finger, jam thumb, and it's annoying as much as anything else. You can't hurt it any further, but just the annoyance of having that thing tight. But Alex did a good job of relieving some of that tightness out of it some kind of way. You have to ask him about that.
John, go ahead, please.
Coach, they had some runs with their small lineup versus your bigs, maybe taking advantage of your lack of foot speed at times. How difficult was it to stay playing big, and did you ever think, you know, I got to go small at some point? And how difficult was that decision?
Well, not very difficult because we learned from the last game. Now we got to be ready to make another adjustment. I'm sure they're going to make another adjustment. But again, Patrick Patterson did an excellent job defensively. He's doing a good job of staying in front of a guy like Joe Johnson. We're sending early help, but allowed us to stay big, so our so-called big. But Bismack's athletic ability, his foot speed, allowed us to stay big. I don't know how. I got to look at the film and see how long they stayed with that lineup. But I know they had Winslow in there and Joe Johnson in there for a little bit. But again, this game is about runs. The playoff series, you're not going to blow a team out by 15 and 20 points in the playoffs. It's not going to happen. There's too many good teams that are left. They're here for a reason. So our mental toughness, our physicality, our playing through stuff allowed us to stay big, to stay to what we were doing and with our game plan.
Rachel?
Dwane, it seemed that DeMar was still getting in there for rebounds, reaching in for steals. Didn't seem he was hesitant at all to seek the contact in the action tonight with that thumb even.
That was huge for us because usually you kind of you're not sticking it in there as much. He did. That's how he hurt at that time. He was going for a loose ball. But again, his heart's in the right place. He's giving his body up for the team, and that's how you win in this league. You give up. You know, I told him he'll let it rest this summer, and you know that's the time because right now there's nobody healthy in this league, totally healthy. There's something that's hurting on somebody. You know, Kyle Lowry looks like a boxer. Got cuts on both eyelids. So, you know, this is the time you play through it. This is what you work in the summer for. This is what you prepare your professional career for is playoff time.
Final question to Michael.
Overall, I mean, a great game, but the last 2 minutes of the second quarter, so they went small. You guys didn't. Was it a matchup that was the issue, or
we just had a hard time scoring, Michael? We had a hard time executing scoring, and you know, we've had trouble in those situations. We got to make sure we don't relax before halftime or in the quarter. I thought we closed out the third quarter a little bit better. I got to look at it, but that's been our biggest nemesis is that end of the quarters, and we've got to close out quarters when Kyle takes his rest or when he's out of the game. And you know, we got to keep things moving. You got to keep pushing the basketball. We got to stay aggressive, and we kind of take our foot off the pedal and kind of get a little relaxed, and that's when you know, a good team like Miami is going to make a run.
Thank you.